The XRP community thinks August 15th could finally bring an end to the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. But one former SEC lawyer is saying, not so fast. Let's go straight to the key points. First, yes, Ripple and the SEC are supposed to submit a joint status report by August 15th. And some in the community believe that a settlement could come just before that date. In fact, one user on X, formerly Twitter, estimated the chances of settlement before August 15th are between 70% and 90%. He even predicted that Ripple would get away with just a $50 million penalty and no injunction. But here's the reality check. Marc Fagel, a former SEC attorney and a well-respected voice in securities law, completely disagrees with that optimism. He said, quote, "The odds of a $50 million penalty and no injunction are 0%. The court has already resolved that." Sorry. So what does the court actually say? Judge Analisa Torres has already rejected Ripple's motion for what's called an indicative ruling that would have allowed the case to be reconsidered, possibly changing the outcome. But with that rejection, Ripple is still on the hook for a $125 million penalty, and the injunction remains in place. That's the current legal status. It's not theory or speculation. It's court record. Now here's where things get a bit more complex. Earlier this year, both Ripple and the SEC requested a pause in their appeals. They agreed to hold off until August 15th, 2025, and submit another update at that time. But that doesn't mean August 15th, 2024, the date everyone's talking about, is when a decision has to happen. Marc Fagel made that clear too. He said the deadline isn't directly tied to a settlement. In fact, a settlement can happen at any time, with or without a deadline. So why all the speculation? Because there's still a real possibility that both Ripple and the SEC might just drop their appeals in the next few weeks. Fagel himself said it usually takes 1 to 2 months for the SEC to approve an enforcement recommendation. Judge Torres issued her latest ruling on June 26th. So if the enforcement team moved quickly, we could be nearing that decision point, possibly in July or August. But again, nothing is guaranteed. As Fagel put it, it could happen anytime in the next few weeks. But it's a lot of speculation. And while all this legal back and forth continues, Ripple is trying to move forward as a business. They're applying for a national banking license in the US, hoping to integrate deeper into the traditional financial system. But even that move is getting pushback. US banking associations have reportedly urged regulators to reject Ripple's license application. And attorney John Deaton, who's been a vocal supporter of XRP holders, condemned that move, calling it an unfair attack. So what's the bigger picture here? It's clear that Ripple wants to put this lawsuit behind them and move ahead with business expansion. But legal obstacles, including potential appeals and regulatory pressure, are still very real. The idea that this will all wrap up by August 15th? It's hopeful, but not backed by facts. What's possible is that both sides may quietly agree to drop their appeals, settle the case as it stands, and move on. That could bring a form of closure, even if it's not the perfect outcome XRP supporters were hoping for. So here's the bottom line. Unless you're hearing it from the court or one of the involved legal teams, treat every prediction with caution. Experts like Marc Fagel are making it clear. The law doesn't move based on speculation. We'll keep watching this closely. Because while the court process might be slow and frustrating, the decisions it makes could reshape how crypto companies operate in the US for years to come.